Here we've been at it for only, what, a couple of thousand years. We don't understand the prime numbers, which are the basic building blocks of multiplication. But we understand a little more than we used to. And that excitement of the chase, pursuing the beautiful, which is always escaping, is tremendously exhilarating.
But it's also pursuing the language and the thought, so that you don't learn mathematics in order to be able to sit down of an evening and solve a quadratic. But because you have thought about how do you solve a quadratic, when faced with a moral problem or a literary problem, you have a standard against which you can hold your logic and say, this is wishful thinking, this is actually following a track which is going to get us somewhere. And there's an awful lot of nonsense being written and spoken. I mean, you listen to politicians and you can't believe that they say the things they say with a straight face. And I don't think they're evil. I think they just never question their thoughts or their language. And math is always saying, how do you know that? Can you prove that? And it doesn't leave you alone until you say, yes, I know it and I can prove it.
What matters to each of us as humans is meaning. We want to understand the meaning of things. But we don't even know what meaning means. We're not sure we would recognize it if we saw it, except with great music, with a mathematical poem, the rhyming of the proof with the theorem. What we were talking about this morning, about different sizes of infinity, that our tiny minds can grasp such a thing. That enormous sizes have themselves got sizes, that there are smaller and larger infinities, and that we puny humans can think, speak, reason, invent, and discover about such things is wonderful, exhilarating, humbling. One feels both exhilarated and exhausted by the pursuit.
Socrates is right there in the back of our minds.
The great figures for me are Plato, Kant, and Wittgenstein, and they pervade my thought, and I'm sure they infiltrate our method. It came up today in several ways. Kant says this mysterious sentence of his, mathematics is synthetic a priori. What does that mean? Synthetic, we invent it. A priori, it precedes all experience. Well, how can that be? If we invent it, how could it precede our experience? But you hear this answered every day in classrooms around the world, and you heard it on the stage today and in the audience this morning. Before you understand the problem, you say, oh, it's so hard, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Mathematics is synthetic. You have to invent it. And after you get it, you say, oh, it's obvious. How could I not? Well, I've always known that, actually. I just didn't realize I knew it. It's a priori. So when children come into a classroom in the morning and one says, did you get the homework last night? I couldn't get it. And the other child says, you didn't get it? It's obvious. Math is synthetic a priori. We invent what we later call discoveries.